everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. I do hope you are well. Thanks for joining me for the latest news around the web from the last week or so in the photographic and filmmaking world. Firstly, I want to talk about a piece of news that's appearing on Nikon Rumors and a few other sites. And that's the fact that the Nikon D500 is now out of stock in many stores around the world. And this is including some of the largest stores like B&H and Adorama. Now, is this a temporary out of stock or is this a permanent out of stock? From my personal perspective, I just am not too sure that we're going to see any more F-mount or DSLR cameras in general. Of course, we had the recent announcement from Canon that they would be developing no more flagship cameras. Indeed, they will continue to manufacture the current model, and perhaps they'll iterate via firmware a little bit, but there will be no more flagship models. They did not rule out there being any more entry and mid-level cameras, Canon that is, but you know, I'm hard pressed to see that happening. Now, the D500 sits squarely in the center of Nikon's product lineup. It is both a professional and semi-professional camera, enthusiast camera. But I am hard pressed to see if Canon is not making any more flagship cameras, as in they're not going to design any more cameras. There won't be a next Mark IV or Mark V for their top-of-the-range flagship. Then I also see Nikon making the same move. So let's say there's nothing much else beyond the D6 in flagships. Where does that leave cameras like the D850 and the D500? Well, those cameras have certainly been replaced with the Z9. Obviously, the Z9's more expensive, but we would expect over the next year or two the replacements, the cheaper replacements of the D850 and the D500 appearing. And like I said, I would expect that this year or next year. That's if there even is a D500 replacement. There may well be a D850 mirrorless replacement that when you put it in DX mode, it does the job and it's at a similar price point. And I can only think that wanting to keep the minimum number of SKUs, which just means the minimum number of product lines running, is what all of these companies want to do. They don't want to have 15 cameras in their range if they can just have 10. We will see, but this is really interesting news that the D500 is out of stock around the world. It could simply be the global chip shortage and logistics problems that the world is suffering, and it might not have anything to do with there not being any more. It could be either. And in other Nikon news from Nikon Rumors, we can see that the Nikon shutter count software version 3 is out and it supports the Z9. Now, it's an interesting question around whether having a shutter count for a shutterless camera is important, but I suppose it does show us how much the camera has been used, gives you a bit of a sense of that. So I think it's interesting and worth understanding. Now, I can see in the comments on Nikon Rumors there are a few other different ways to find a shutter count besides this software. So if you're interested, it is possible to know how many total actuations you have made with your camera, whether it is shuttered or shutterless, using this type of software. Next, we have some images from Samyang. They are going to release for the E-mount a 135mm 1.8 lens. Now, this is a lens that I would like to see for RF and for Z and for everywhere, really. It's a super exciting lens, it's a long lens, it's a fast lens, and it is coming in priced at $999 US. Looking at the images of this Samyang lens, it appears to be made in Korea. And that's fun to see some optics coming out of Korea as well as all the other places. I presume we can expect this lens for E-mount, maybe RF mount, maybe Z mount as well, but it's great to see this sort of lens appearing. I think it's a great lens to have in your camera bag. And in further E-mount news, this is a bit of an exciting one, but an adapter has been created for you to mount Pentax K lenses onto your E-mount camera, and it comes with the screw focus mechanism. So This is exciting news, and of course for those in the Nikon world, many Nikon F users with the older glass have been wanting that autofocus screw mount adapter to exist, and here is yet another example of this sort of technology existing. In the E-mount, not in the Z-mount, but it exists, presumably it works, so for sure we know that it's possible. So that's great news for Sony users who may well want to use some K-glass that they have in their cupboard or they've found secondhand, who knows? But it's great to know that that opportunity is available. One thing we all love about mirrorless systems is their ability to adapt other mounts, DSLR mounts, and older mounts. It's just great stuff.
And let's also keep in mind that this is created by a third party, which means a third party could do exactly the same thing for an F to Z with screw focus capability.
Now, in further Sony news, and I wasn't sure whether to bring this one up because this lens, I had a look at their launch video or some sort of promotional video. It's a flash video, but the quality of the lens didn't look that good. It actually looked quite bad. But there is a Tonika SZ Super Tele 500mm F8 Reflex manual focus lens.
And jumping on the Tonika site, looking at the 500mm, we can see here that it is only 310 grams. We can see it has a pretty simple construction. And something that you might not know with a lens like this is that the bokeh balls are rings due to the mirror that sits in the middle of the lens. That's this here. This is a little mirror. And as we can see here, it has the versatile mount system, which gives us Canon EF, Nikon F, Fuji X, Micro Four Thirds, Sony E, and Nikon Z. Very, very adaptable.
In theory, this sounds like a great idea. It's a 500mm lens, it's short, it's light, it's a reflex, which means it uses mirrors to get that length. Not like a PF, nothing like a PF lens. PF lenses are absolutely outstanding. But sadly, the picture quality does not look good. It actually looks very, very bad. Maybe the video was made with a prototype lens or something, so let's just wait and see a little bit more information about this lens, because I do think this technology, if you could make it reasonably sharp, it's really cool technology. Conversely, this may well be why Nikon invented the PF lens, to get these much smaller and lighter lenses, but still have these long focal lengths. It's interesting. I think it'll be very affordable. That information's not available yet. And in further Nikon news, we have another firmware update for the Z9. This is version 1.11. This new firmware update is basically minor fixes, but it does also include support for the new 400mm 2.8 VR built-in teleconverter super duper lens that we're all very excited to see what it does. What is this new focus technology? Well, maybe not all of us, but I am. I'm excited to see what it can do. Here's a link if you'd like to check that out and download it for yourself. And in final news for today, Fuji are celebrating 10 years of the X-mount. Of course, the X-mount has gone on to great successes and many, many cameras coming out in that range. And then Fuji went on from the X-mount to the GFX mount, which has also been highly acclaimed. Fuji certainly appear to be doing a great job, and I look forward to seeing what 2022 has in store. We are expecting further big things with stacked BSI sensors and more from Fuji this year. Alright everybody, well it's been so good to see you. Please let me know, are any of those things of interest to you? Would you be going for that 500mm reflex crazy lens? And are you a Z9 user? Will you be getting the update? Or perhaps you're a 135mm 1.8 sort of person. Is that a lens for you? That is certainly a lens that excites me. I would love to use that in low light situations. Well, it's been so good to see you. I do hope that you are well. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. But if this is your first time here, I would love to see you again. So please do subscribe, please share, and please like. All right, bye for now.